Welcome to Public Counsel's video presentations on representing yourself in federal court. This particular series has 4 chapters which cover the case-initiating forms for the Central District of California. First, a few tips and caveats. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to be legal advice for your particular situation. Also, this video covers only the case-initiating forms used by the Central District of California, which is the federal district court or federal trial level court covering the greater Los Angeles region. And lastly, for advice on your particular situation, you should consult an attorney who can review your facts and discuss your options. We'll have some suggestions for you at the end of this video. Let's start with what exactly are the case-initiating forms. These are the court forms you need to file along with your complaint in order to start a case in the Central District of California. These are the summons, the certification and notice of interested parties, the civil cover sheet, and if you are going to request a fee waiver, the request to proceed in forma pauperis. These forms are filed along with your complaint or other opening pleading in order to start your case. If you try to file your complaint at the clerk's office without these forms, most likely your complaint will be rejected. In this video, we're going over the civil cover sheet. This is another one of those court forms that goes by 2 numbers. On the form itself, the number is CV-71, but on the court's website, you will find it listed under CV-071. Here's what the form looks like, and you can see that it has 3 pages. It looks kind of complicated, but in this video, we're going to simplify it for you. And here's a really important bit of information. This form isn't nearly as important as your summons and your complaint. Your summons and complaint create important legal foundations for your lawsuit, including jurisdiction, which means the power of the court to hear your case and issue a judgment against your defendants. While this form, the civil cover sheet, may look complex, it does not confer any legal foundations for your case. We tell you that so you don't spend an inordinate amount of time working on it. Spend most of your time focusing on your complaint and on your summons. Okay, on to the form itself. We'll start with the first page and work our way through. As we do, keep in mind that not every section requires your attention. A lot of this form may stay blank. Up here, in the top left-hand corner, is Section 1. This is for your information because you're the plaintiff. The plaintiff is the person who is bringing the lawsuit. In this space, you write your name, your address, and your phone number. There is also a box here that you should check because you're representing yourself. And there's a line here for you to insert which county you reside in. We're not going to have too many samples on this video. It would be too long if we did that. But here's one that shows how a typical pro se plaintiff fills in this box. Let's move on to the right-hand side of this top area. This is information about your defendant. All you need to fill in, as the plaintiff, is just one of these blue areas. Right here. Just list the names of your defendants. If you can't fit them all in, just put in the name of the first defendant you've listed on your complaint, and leave the rest of this area blank. Let's move on to Section 2, Basis of Jurisdiction. We're going to enlarge this a bit for us to see it more easily. The form gives you 4 choices. If you are bringing the lawsuit, that means you are the plaintiff. Number 1 is impossible. You're the plaintiff, and you are not the U.S. government, so you can't check this one. That leaves you with 3 other options, and you select the first one that matches with your type of case. If you are suing the United States of America, or one of its agencies or employees, like the Social Security Administration or the Department of Homeland Security, then you check number 2. If you are suing under a law of the United States, including federal statutes like 28 U.S.C. Section 1983, then you check number 3. And if you are suing under diversity jurisdiction, then you check number 4. If you check number 4, then you're going to have to fill out the citizenship box on the right. So this box, Section 3, on citizenship of principal parties, only gets triggered if you selected number 4 in this box, that you are suing under diversity jurisdiction. If you did select number 4, diversity jurisdiction, then you need to go through this list and select one box for the principal plaintiff and one box for the principal defendant. When you are checking the box for the principal plaintiff, that means you. And your options are pretty much limited to this first column and choices number 1, number 2, or number 3. You're either a citizen of this state, California, which is choice number 1, a citizen of another state, choice number 2, or a citizen of a foreign country, choice number 3. So choose the one that best fits you. For your principal defendant, there are 6 options, which are spread out in these 2 columns. If your principal defendant is an individual, you'll probably choose from this column, identifying whether your principal defendant is a citizen of this state, another state, or a foreign country. If your principal defendant is a corporation, business association, or foreign nation, you'll pick from the second column. Let's move on to the next box, Section 4, Origin. Here you mark where this case started. We're not going to go into this in great detail. If you are a pro se plaintiff and you are starting your case in the Central District, you place an X in the first box here to indicate that this is an original proceeding. Basically, if you were doing any of the other options in this list, you would know, and you go ahead and check the appropriate box. Let's move on to the next box, Section 5. Here you answer 3 different questions for the court, and they are all about what you've requested in your complaint. So again, finish up your complaint, then fill in these case initiating forms. First question, did you ask for a jury in your complaint? It's a yes or a no. Just check the box. Second question, is your complaint a class action lawsuit? This is a simple answer, no. Pro se litigants cannot file class action lawsuits. You check the no box. Third question, if you demanded money in your complaint, check the box and put the amount here. Let's move on to the next part of the form, Section 6, Cause of Action. Here you write the statute that you are suing under. For example, it could be 28 U.S.C. Section 1983 for certain types of civil rights cases, or Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 for certain types of employment cases. If you used more than one federal statute when you wrote your complaint, you can just write the first one here. Let's move on to the bottom of the form, Section 7, Nature of Suit. And you just check one box, the one that corresponds to your main cause of action in your lawsuit. Even if you have multiple causes of action in your complaint, just pick one box. This is a really long list, and we can't go over each one, but here are a few common choices. If you're bringing some type of civil rights case, you'll probably choose from the options down here. We'll blow this part up so we can see it better. A civil rights lawsuit for someone not in custody is most likely marked as 440, other civil rights. An employment-based lawsuit, especially one brought under Title VII, is most likely marked as 442. If you are bringing some type of Social Security case, your options are over here. Okay, let's move on to page 2, which is Section 8. This entire page is designed to help the clerk decide which courthouse or division will be hearing your case. This is called a venue decision. Will it be heard in Los Angeles, which is the Western Division, Santa Ana, the Southern Division, or Riverside, the Eastern Division? This page is a type of flow chart where the answers you give in one section trigger what you have to fill in next, and you have to skip around the form based on your answers. But the good news is you are not going to answer every question on this page. Just trust the form. If it tells you to skip something and go directly somewhere else, do it. Just go. And remember, this form is more or less a clerical form. Don't stress over it. Just do the best you can. And one last thing, as soon as we're through with this page, page 3 is a breeze. You're almost done. Let's break this page down into its basic parts, then we'll go through and start answering questions. There are basically 6 questions on this page, with letters A, B, C, D, E, and F. It's not as complicated as it looks, because again, you're not going to have to fill out the whole thing. First up is question A. Was this case removed from state court? If you are a pro se plaintiff, the answer to this question is easy. It's no. Only defendants can remove cases, and you're a plaintiff, so you can't be removing a case. So mark no and move on. Move on where? Do what the form says. We've blown it up so you can see it. The form tells us to skip to question B. So that's where we're going. That means do not answer the rest of the questions in this section. Ignore them. This is what we mean by trusting the form. When it tells you to go somewhere, just go. Don't even look at the rest of this section. Okay, now we're on question B, which is one of the easy ones. It asks us if the United States or one of its agencies or employees is a plaintiff in this action. The answer is easy. It's no. You are bringing the lawsuit, so you are the plaintiff. That means the United States is not the plaintiff. So you answer no here. And where do you go next? The form tells us if we answer no to question B, which is what we're doing, then we skip to question C. That means we do not answer any other questions in this area. Don't even read them. They'll just confuse you. Once the form tells you to move on, move on. So we're moving on to question C. Okay, at this point we actually have to look at both C and D, because between the two of them, you are only going to fill out one in its entirety. Which one depends on who you are suing, who your defendant is. And it all revolves around one question. Are you suing the United States government or one of its agencies or one of its employees? And this question is not asking if you are suing someone who lives in the United States or has a corporate office in the United States or is a state or county located in the United States. It really means when you look at your complaint, is one of your defendants written as the United States of America or one of the U.S.'s agencies, like the Department of Homeland Security, or one of the U.S.'s employees, like the Postmaster General or the Attorney General. If you are suing the United States, one of its agencies, or one of its employees, then you are going to fill out question C, and you skip question D entirely. Don't even read it. It will only confuse things. All right, what if you are not suing the U.S. government, one of its agencies, or employees? Then you do the opposite. You fill out question D, and you skip question C. Remember, you're doing one or the other. We're not going to go through these in detail because it would take way too much time. Just keep in mind that you are the plaintiff, whoever you are suing is the defendant, and go through the flow chart step by step, as we did with the previous sections. Take your time and trust the form. If it tells you to skip somewhere, just do it. Okay, having filled out either question C or question D, let's move on to question E. This one is simple. It just asks you to fill in here the result of the questions you answered above. From filling in the rest of the flowchart, the chart will tell you which division your case will be assigned to, either Western, Southern, or Eastern. So you fill in that word here. Either part C or D will tell you which word to fill in. And down here at the bottom of the page is one last question, question F. It asks if 50% or more of the plaintiffs or defendants live in the northern counties of the Central District. That's Ventura, Santa Barbara, or San Luis Obispo counties. So for pro se plaintiffs, this is asking two things. First, do you live in one of these northern counties? If so, then you answer yes to this question. Secondly, even if you don't live in one of the northern counties, do you know for sure that most of your defendants do? Then you would also answer yes. Otherwise, you answer no to this question. Okay, on to our last page, page 3. And there's just two easy questions here, then a place for you to sign and date the form. First question, identical cases. This is a yes or no question. Have you previously filed this case in this court before? If so, you answer yes and give the court your previous case number. If not, you answer no. So don't overthink this. This is not asking you about cases you have filed in state court, bankruptcy court, other cases you have filed in this court. It's asking about this case and this court. Second question, is this case related to any other cases filed in this court? It's not asking about other courts, and it's another yes or no question. For most pro se litigants, the answer is no. But if you think it's yes, then check yes and list the case number of the related case. Also, if you select yes, that the case is related, then you'll also have to fill in these boxes. If you're confused about whether your case is related or not, these questions actually might also help you. And lastly, you sign and date the form in this area. And this area stays entirely blank. So that's it for this form. It's long, but remember, this isn't nearly as important as your summons and your complaint. Do your best, get some help, but please don't overthink it or overwork it. If you want more help, you can contact us at Public Counsel's Federal Pro Se Clinic. We offer free legal advice for people representing themselves in the Central District. We are currently in the Roybal Federal Building in downtown Los Angeles on Temple Street. We operate by appointment only, so submit an online intake or give us a call. There are also 2 other clinics in the Central District. One is in Santa Ana and one is in Riverside. They also offer free legal assistance for pro se litigants. More information about them is on the court's website. Some final and important information for you. This video is for educational purposes only and is not to be construed as legal advice. For information and advice about your particular situation, please see an attorney. This video does not create an attorney-client relationship between the viewer and public counsel.